Hello and welcome to episode 16 of The Good Life. Today is an exciting episode, and it is one that I always love to do. I have done it in my free Facebook group a few times, but it is the first time that I've recorded about this topic and put it on this podcast. Let's get going. Today, I am going to talk about myself and my experience with sleep. I am also going to be answering frequently asked questions about my sleep program, Your Best Sleep. And the reason I'm doing this is, number one, to get the information out to you, but then number two, we are in the middle of doing a launch with some really cool summertime bonuses to the coaching program. And so I actually crowdsourced some questions last week, some frequently asked questions about the program. And then I took some of the questions that people always ask me about the program, and we're just going to go ahead and put it into an episode. But first, I want to talk about myself. I know I talk about myself in most of my episodes, but not in very much depth. So I have never been a good sleeper. When I was a kid, my parents told me I didn't sleep very well. I didn't like to fall asleep. I, as an adult, kind of have varied through like good sleep and not good sleep. I had a couple of occasions throughout my life where I was hit with some pretty significant insomnia and sleep struggles, and they were related to a variety of things going on in my life. My last one was about 3.5 years ago. I was working a job that didn't have a very good schedule. I was not sleeping well. My health was deteriorating. I was getting like night after night of really bad sleep, and I was struggling really badly. My mental health was in a bad place. My physical health was in a bad place. I reached out to doctors, to anyone I knew who I thought maybe had some answers about sleep to get some ideas. I was trying things. I tried medication. I have tried medication at other times in my life too, and it never has worked very well for me. No offense. This is not an anti-medication program, but I'm a mental health counselor, and so my sleep program is not about medication at all. If you're on it, great. If you're not on it, great. But the interventions I do are non-medication based. They're behavioral and habitually based things. So yes, I was on medication. No, it never worked for me over the long term. I hated being on it. It was not that impactful. It was not that effective. And so I ended up getting very frustrated. And I was like, you know what? Nothing is helping. Nothing is getting better. I'm a counselor. At that point, I had been a counselor for a while. I was like, I'm a counselor. I bet I could find some resource out there to help me get better sleep. And so I went searching for it. And what I ended up doing is I found a book. It was a book on 1990s sleep science. I can tell you the name of the book. Everyone always asks that. That's one of the most frequently asked questions when I talk about this. And so the book is called Say Goodnight to Insomnia. It's a 6-week program. There it is on my phone. That's always a frequently asked question. I bought the book. I read the book. I put myself through the program in the book. It's a 6-week program. I actually ended up putting myself through it for about 6 months. I didn't realize I did it for so long, but this is actually the notebook that I used when I did this program for myself. And I was looking back at my logs a while ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I logged my sleep. I had these very specific like sleep things. I logged my sleep for 6 months, and I improved my sleep so much. And ever since then, my sleep has been very, very good. A lot of the things that I was doing about my sleep in the past, I completely stopped doing. I unlearned those behaviors. I stopped doing those behaviors. And now I really don't do them very much. Or if I start doing them, I catch myself doing them and I can get right back to good habits. And so my program is about those behaviors and those habits. So I took this book. This was before I had any real specific sleep training. Okay. This was over 3 years ago. I took this book. I put myself through the program. I improved my sleep. One thing I do like to add about this, during this time when I improved my sleep, nothing else in my life changed. Okay. And my sleep improved. I was able to take this 90 sleep science that a lot of it has been disproven. It's not even the same stuff that I teach in my program because this was old science, but it was what I could find at the time. It worked for me. Nothing else in my life changed. My hours didn't change. My work schedule didn't change, but I was able to improve my sleep. And I have the data from my sleep logs to show it. Like there are some nights of tracking, I got 0 hours of sleep. I used to get 0 hours of sleep, and then when my alarm would go off, I would get up, I would get ready for the day, and I would go through my entire day. Okay, my entire work day. This happened a lot during that time when my sleep was bad. Like 5 hours was a good night of sleep for me. It was terrible. It was terrible. My mental health, my health has never been worse. And that's something I want to talk about, okay? I'm going to kind of bounce around a little bit, but that's my story. That's part of my story. You guys, if you listen to this podcast, you'll get to know little snippets probably all the time. But that was what I did. Yes, and improved my sleep. Yes, and improved my sleep greatly. So then I started taking trainings. I took CBT-I, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. I took that training. I implemented some of those learnings, but by that time I had already improved my sleep quite a bit. I took a specific training on sleep, anxiety, and the brain. I took specific trainings on mental health and nutrition. Having good nutrition can help improve your sleep too. There's so many different things that come into play with sleep. So then I ended up using this information with my clients. Before I even started the sleep program, I was working as a therapist, I was working as a coach. I would use these skills because they had worked so well for me and they had really changed my sleep for me, which when sleep improves, everything improves. So I had improved things. So I started using it with clients. It was effective. I took these trainings. I started implementing those. Those were effective. So then I decided I'm going to build a program. So this is a program. Yes, I'm a trained therapist. Yes, I have been a therapist for over 18 years. I've worked with people for over 20. I was a correctional officer before I was a therapist, but I was still working with people in tough situations, even in those years. So like over 20 years working with people, over 18 years as a therapist. Now I have this sleep coaching program. This is not therapy, okay? That's another thing too. A lot of people who I do calls with, that's one of their questions. Can I use my insurance? No, you can't, because it's not medical necessity. It's not being reimbursed by insurance. You can use your insurance to see your doctor. You can use your insurance to see a therapist. But for my program, you can't use your insurance. HSAs is another question that I get. You can ask your HSA provider. You can ask your flex spending provider if something like this would work, but it's not therapy. I'm not going to be diagnosing you. I'm not going to be sending notes to your insurance company. I'm not going to be submitting for reimbursables. It is a cash pay coaching program, but it takes everything that I have learned throughout the years and builds it into a beautiful program. Those of you who have been following me, you know this is an 8-week program. Summer bonuses, the bonus is 4 extra weeks of coaching, which is really, really cool because there's 8 weeks of coaching, but with the summer bonus, you're going to get 4 extra weeks. So instead of 2 months, you're going to get 3 months, which is pretty amazing. It's an incentive because people are really busy in the summer and they're like, oh, I want to do this, but I'm going to be on vacation and I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing this. Well, you know what? That problem is solved because you get extra weeks. So that is very exciting. Sleep improves everything. I have done a couple of episodes in my free Facebook group and on this podcast about the things that happen when you don't sleep well to your health and your mental health. There is no research out there that says that you can get by on no sleep, okay? You need sleep. It does so many good things for you. Everything is improved. When we are talking about health impacts of sleep, we're talking about things like cardiovascular health, metabolic health, hormonal health. There are a lot of things that are impacted when you consistently get poor sleep. Mental health, we show increases in anxiety, in depression, in emotional reactivity, in cognitive decline. There is a ton of new research that shows that Alzheimer's and dementia, if people don't sleep well over a lifetime, over a long period of time, that can really increase your risk for things like that. There are so many health things, mental health things. I kind of lump those together sometimes because I do believe mental health is health. So many things that happen when you get poor sleep. One thing I have learned about clients is they will struggle for years with poor sleep, with mental health issues, with things that are going on before they reach out for help. There's probably a million reasons why that is happening. We're not going to get into that, but I just want to say sleep is important. Sleep is really not something you should be messing around with. I don't know why a lot of people seem to think that sleep isn't important, that somehow they're going to just get by on poor sleep. Somehow life is not going to catch up to them. Getting good sleep will improve everything. It will improve your mental health. It will improve so many things. Even just this morning, somebody I know got tested and found out that they needed a CPAP, so they had sleep apnea. That's not something this program's going to treat. That is something you need to go see your doctor for. Maybe you have restless leg, maybe you have sleep apnea, maybe you have some type of disorder that is not behaviors and habits. Go to your doctor, rule those things out. And if you're like, okay, looks like I don't have sleep apnea, looks like I don't have restless leg, looks like I don't have some mental health disorder that's going on that also needs to be treated, this might be a really nice fit for you, because these are behaviors, these are habits, these are things that you are doing that this program can help you unlearn and replace with healthy habits that are going to improve your sleep. This program is not for people who have a bunch of health issues that are related to sleep. Maybe you get those treated and you're like, oh my gosh, I actually have horrible sleep habits. I have my CPAP now, but I'm still experiencing nighttime anxiety. I'm still experiencing different things. Then maybe it would be a good fit, but it is not a replacement for health things, okay? I'm not a doctor. I can't help you with that. What I can help you with is the behaviors and the habits. Another thing is that you probably don't want to do this program if you are not really willing to put in the work. This is not a program where you can just watch it and like magical things happen where your sleep improves. You are going to need to watch it, watch the lessons. If you come into the program and you do the group coaching option, come to group coaching sessions, get help, get the support of everybody else in the program, and then your sleep can improve. If you are a person who joins the program, makes excuses for 12 weeks about why you can't come to group and why you can't do the lessons, and you don't actually do any of it, your sleep is probably not going to improve. The good thing is you have 12 months of access. So let's say life gets really busy and you want to do it later, you could, but you have missed out on your group coaching sessions. So that's another thing. If you want to do a program like this, if you want to do my program, make sure you're ready to just hit the ground running and you're actually willing to do the work. Because if you don't do the work, you're probably not going to improve your sleep very much. So those are two things where it's not going to be a good program for you. Number one, the health issues. If it's like a health thing that needs to be diagnosed by a doctor. Then number two, if you're not ready to actually jump in and do the work. Okay. I'm going to go over one other question that I get from people a lot, and then I'm going to wrap up, and I might do another episode on this in the future. But another question I get is cost. Now, I already went over health insurance. This is not something that's going to be something that you can use your health insurance for, but cost. So I have a question for you if you're wondering about the cost. I want you to think about the worst night of sleep ever. So think about what that feels like, laying in your bed. Maybe it's the first night of bad sleep. Maybe it's the second, maybe it's the third, maybe it's the fourth. How terrible do you feel? How much would you pay to just give somebody some cash and say, put me to sleep? If I could fall asleep, what would you give them? $100, $200, $1,000? I don't know. There's nights that I had where I would have paid a lot of money to be able to fall asleep quickly. So think about that compounded over the rest of your life. Okay, let's say it's going to be $50. You want to pay someone $50 just to put you right to sleep. Let's say that happens for you 150 times a year for the rest of your life. That's not great, okay? This is a program where if you do the program, if you improve your sleep, it doesn't mean in 8 weeks you're just going to go back to bad sleep. No, you've learned skills that are going to help you improve your sleep for the rest of your life. So think about what that costs. What is the price of that? That's freaking invaluable, right? Maybe you improve your sleep and you reduce your dementia risk. Maybe you improve your sleep and your anxiety gets a lot better. Maybe you improve your sleep and your relationship with everybody else improves because you're not just being a horrible wretch and screaming at everybody all the time, okay? That is not a price. That's a cost. And that is going to cost you a lot if you don't improve your sleep. So I want you to think about it that way, number one, but then I'll tell you about my prices, okay? So this podcast is free. My free group on Facebook is free. My free guides about improving your sleep and setting up a routine and helping with insomnia, those are free, okay? I have a lot of really great resources that are always going to be free. That is purposeful. That is because I know not everybody can afford to improve their sleep, okay? I told you the name of the book I bought. You could go buy it and put yourself through a program if you really want to, okay? That's like $20. I have 3 options for my programs. I'm going to go over these quickly. So I have a self-study option. That is good for somebody who doesn't really need a lot of support. They're a go-getter. They've proven to themselves that they can just like do things on their own. They don't need a lot of hand holding. They don't need a lot of support. They're probably not going to have a lot of questions. And if they have questions, they can look them up themselves. Okay. That is the self-study program. That is $597. You get the self-study program. It is everything in my group coaching program except access to me. You don't get to email me. You don't get to come to group coaching. You don't get to hit me up on Facebook and want free coaching. Okay. Self-study, $597. Okay. Next step up is the signature group coaching program. This is like my signature offer. This is the one where you get access to the program, 12 months of access to the program, but then you also get the group coaching. So for 8 weeks is what it normally is. With the summer bonus, it's going to be 12 weeks. So you're going to get 12 weeks of access directly to me. You're going to be in a community group where you can ask questions all the time. I'll want you to bring most of them to coaching because it's not great to just be messaging each other back and forth when we have like an hour to meet every single week. That is the signature program. That is $2,997. Okay. You are getting, with all the extra bonuses, over $1,000 of free bonuses for the summer. Then I have a VIP program. VIP, I can only take one person at a time in this program. This is a very high intensity program. You get access to me, not 24/7 because I have to sleep, but you get access to me that nobody else gets access to. You get group coaching, you get the program, you get one-on-one access. We do one-on-one sessions. This is a very high intensity program. It is high touch. We're going to know each other real freaking well by the end of this. I can only have one person at a time in this. So this is not open, but it will be open at some point. That one is $4,997. That one has some additional time to it. That one is 12 weeks on its own. And then you have access to everything else. So those are my 3 programs plus all my free resources. So free stuff, self-study, signature group coaching, and then VIP. Those are my 4 programs. Those are the costs. But again, think about the cost of not improving your sleep. Okay. If you can take this program and if it is truly behavioral and habitual and you take the program, you start implementing everything right away and improve your sleep forever, what's the cost of that? Think about it. One bad night of sleep, how much would you pay to just fall asleep like that? When you are at your wit's end, when you are crying, when you are upset, when your sleep is horrible. I hope this helps you learn a little bit more about me, a little bit more about the program. I'll see you next week. Bye.